Welcome, football fans. Been waiting all day for Sunday night, and we actually have been because this is the game of the week by far. It's effectively the beginning of the playoffs right here. Bills versus Dolphins. Dolphins have punched their playoff ticket. Bills have not. Bills have got a win, and they're in. Dolphins win this. They win the division and a higher seed. But Buffalo favored 2.5 points. Despite being on the road. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's get into it. Tony, talk to us about Bills and Dolphins.
Don't be mad, Nick, but I'm going to tell you some observations that I have. They're about to watch the next 2, 3, 4, 5 biggest games of Tua's career. The Dolphins have to decide if they're going to pay Tua or not. And I think that this game is going to come a long way in determining that. If they win this game, they get a home playoff game. There hasn't been a home playoff game in Miami in a while. And on the other side, if the Bills lose this game and something happens where they're not able to make the playoffs, McDermott's getting fired. That's going to happen for sure. And so there's going to be changes. There's going to be consequences in this game. I just feel like, man, the Bills, I feel like have been flying way too close to the edge. This is how Philly was earlier this season. Very similar. You're like, they shouldn't be winning these games. The Bills against that Chargers team, they probably shouldn't have won that game. They lucked out and won that game somehow. Just like that Philly team. You keep flying that close to the sun, man. Burn your wings, fly down. It's like some Greek story. That's neither here nor there. The Bills, I just think they're going to run out of gas, and they're gonna fall short in Miami, man. I think the home crowd is going to be there. This is going to be such a big game for Tua, like I said, and I think that they're going to get ready, man, and they're just going to overtake them. They have a terrible record against the Bills. The only time they can beat Josh Allen and the Bills is at home in Miami. I think you guys play that up, take that to the advantage. I know the Dolphins are injured with the Chubb injury, and there's concerns about the pass rush, but I believe in Fangio. I think he tricks Allen, gets him to commit a couple turnovers. I think the Dolphins win this game.
Tony, I'm picking Miami as well. I think that a lot of the focus has been on Miami's defense for their struggles. I tend to disagree with that. I think the side of the football that needs to step up for the Miami Dolphins is their offense. They need to be able to win these shootout games against these high-powered QBs. And to Tony's point, Tua, you got to come out and earn your contract. So I think it's huge in that regard. I do think, Fangio's going to just disguise some of those coverages. Josh Allen, it's really easy to bait him, to be honest, to bait him into interceptions, into turnovers. And so I think that the Dolphins defense is going to do that. And really it comes down to their offense. They got to come out and score points in this game. And I'm going with Miami. I know it sounds like I'm not, but the stars have lined up this season. I'd say probably the last couple years of this is the team you need to beat. This is the hump that you need to get over. Win the division. That would be so huge for this franchise. You're at home. You're up against Tony brings up, the pass rush issues with Miami, but Bills are in the same seat. They have a lot of injuries on defense, and they have a pass rush that's not necessarily there right now. So, give me the Dolphins. I'm going on a flyer with them. This is probably the biggest game for them since 2001.
Close.
Yeah, come out, win the division, go into the playoffs with some positivity, and also you'll get a home playoff game as well, which is awesome. So do it, Dolphins. That leaves us with our South Florida aficionado, Mr. Nicholas J. Kerr. Talk to us why you're picking the Dolphins.
I mean, it shouldn't be any surprise. I am picking the Dolphins, and I agree with a lot of the points you guys are making. Tony, it's been since 2008 since the Dolphins have hosted a home playoff game. They lost that game very badly against the Ravens. But yeah, this is, Chris, you asked me this is the biggest game since when over the week? And I responded last week because last week's game was the biggest game that I could think of in my personal Dolphins history, because we haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback since '95 in Marino. Haven't won a playoff game since I was in high school, and I just turned 40. So this is a huge game for the Dolphins, and I'm going to be excited to be there. I do have some worry because Josh Allen is that offense. He accounts for probably 90% of their touchdowns, whether throwing the ball, not giving it to his running back within the 5-yard line, just running it in himself. He does worry me, but like what Tony was saying, they have been flying a little too close because, yeah, they've won 4 in a row, but the teams they beat the Chiefs, which have been struggling. They beat Dallas, which had struggled on the road. Then they played down to these teams like the Chargers, which they should have lost that game. And then both games against the Patriots. The Patriots defense has been able to disrupt that offense. So I think that Vic Fangio does find a way to take what he saw from those Patriot games against the Bills and cause some disruption for Josh Allen. I think it'll be a close game, and Miami ends up winning this game in the 4th.
Right. Would losing this game be a failure for the Dolphins? I realize that they've already, punched their ticket to the playoffs, but most people would tell you if the Dolphins lose this game, they're going to lose that first round playoff game.
But I don't think it would definitely be discouraging going into the playoffs because it would feel like limping in after there was so much hope. But if they do lose, they could go on a little revenge tour of their own, getting KC, possibly Buffalo, and Baltimore. So it could be a blessing in disguise, but I don't want to find out.
Right. Tony, do you think Dolphins losing this game potentially could benefit them, motivate them?
I wish it was that easy, man. I think that that's a common mistake. I don't think that we can draw a lot of conclusions from hot streaks in December. I don't think the momentum translates all the time. And it's easy to say the Dolphins lose that game, they're going to lose that first game, whether it be Kansas City they play in. I don't know, man. Like Nick said, they could win that game against Kansas City in the first round, and I'd be like, yeah, they were an underdog. All the chips were against them, but that's how the playoffs are. There's always one crazy underdog that wins, and it could be the Dolphins in that first weekend. So I don't know. I think I understand what you're saying because they've had such an insurmountable lead on the AFC East, and this definitely should be the moment where they clinch the division. This is the most opportune moment you can imagine to clinch that division against your rival like this. So I could see the disappointment in not being able to finish the job, but I don't know. I can't say for certain. I don't think it would translate to the playoffs because everything resets then, and then it's just a crazy chaos scenario always, and it's game to game.
All right. So Bills lose this game. What are their future options there in Buffalo, Tony?
Jim Harbaugh with Josh Allen in the AFC East, bringing the Jim Harbaugh mentality. I imagine that's the top coach that they would target if they did not make the playoffs and they lost with McDermott. I don't know if they would promote. I forget the offensive coordinator. Joe Brady got promoted midseason to OC. I don't think they would make him the head coach. I think he could be made a head coach elsewhere. He's done a pretty good job as the OC since he took over. But I think they would go ahead and target someone like Jim Harbaugh, and they would go ahead and be in competition for him as head coach.
So would that ultimately be the goal for the Bills in the offseason, would be to find a coach that complements Josh Allen?
Yeah, I think so. And I think another name out there, because he hasn't been doing much with the Giants, I think they go try to get Brian Daboll, because Josh Allen had some of his best years under Brian Daboll. So add him with Joe Brady, I think that could do something for Josh Allen.
All right. That's an interesting scenario that I don't think I've heard anyone talk about. So that would be something to watch for. All right. Any final thoughts? It's week 18. We're saying goodbye to the regular season. Nick?
Hey, we made it. Yes. After last year, where we had some hiccups, we made it through this season. I'm excited for the playoffs.
Same. I'm just happy that the playoffs are finally here. January is finally here. I'm done with the holidays. But no, it may look like I've moved on to basketball, but NFL playoffs are legitimately one of the best things to witness out there in sports, and I'm excited for it. Tony?
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you guys. I'm happy for all you guys to make it with us, trudge through these 18 weeks of regular season football, because the playoffs are where it's all at. It's always fun, and those first few weekends are just like amazing, where you get like the Saturday games and the Sunday games like all day. Like, it's well worth it, everyone. The playoffs are where it's at.
Yep. All right. That's the Sports Buds. That concludes the regular season for us. 2023, 2024. All right. We'll see y'all in the playoffs. We know the Dolphins are going to be there. We know the Cowboys are going to be there. Me, I'll just be your basketball guy, letting you know what's happening in the NBA. So catch us then. Everyone have a great week. Enjoy some football. For the Sports Buds, good night.
Thanks for watching the Sports Buds. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.